Now, on the flip side of that, we have another article from Spectrum News that's about hypomania. And this particular article cautions us that it's an amazing twin study that came out of Sweden that they're still doing, but they've got quite a bit of data right now. That basically what I got from this is that kids who are on the spectrum, who are exhibiting a sleeplessness, who
excitability, burst of energy, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that they are going to be more likely to exhibit that as teenagers and have that potentially develop into something that will be considered something that's diagnosable as a mental disorder.
Right. And also a correlation, Shannon, they also mentioned a correlation with bipolar disorder, that the results of this study support the overlap between autism and bipolar observed in genetic studies.
Which I don't think that I really had ever thought about before, Nancy, about a connection between autism and bipolar, because so much of the time before the DSM-5 changed, they would talk about how, you would get one diagnosis and you may have elements of something, but you still had your main diagnosis. And that changed a little bit with the DSM-5 changing back in, 2013. And so I was sort of surprised to hear that 11% of people with autism have a bipolar disorder. Did that sort of surprise you and jump out at you?
It did surprise me, but then as I further reflected on it, I thought, I can see that as a reality.
Yeah, I guess I thought I was just putting that more into autism symptoms than bipolar symptoms. Right. And the difference, which gets pointed out very poignantly in this article, is that when you're treating someone for autism symptoms with anxiety, your first thing wouldn't be to jump to medication, whereas when you're treating somebody for bipolar, it would be that you would treat this with as a psychiatric condition, and you would treat it with certain drugs, antipsychotic drugs.
Yeah, Shannon, it's something that all should be aware of. Parents particularly should be aware of, because if you do see signs of hypomania or bipolar disorder, the extreme mood swings, your child may need to have extra attention on that aspect of their behavior. And I have a friend, for example, who has 4 kids on the spectrum. She's got 2 sets of twins. And the older boys are higher functioning, and they've both been diagnosed with bipolar and are on a medication called Seroquel to treat that. So it is something that I think an awareness is really good.
Yeah, the big takeaway for me, because I go through a lot of different machinations and say that they're still studying these groups of twins, because they were looking at this, is there a genetic component? And they do believe that there's a strong genetic component in this. But the takeaway that they're saying is that there may be a subgroup that is at risk for developing hypomania, and that's really all we can say right now. But I think one of the bigger takeaways is that if you have kiddos, young kids that are having anxiety, don't just think it's going to go away and they're going to grow out of it. You're actually potentially creating a circumstance in which it will get worse. So my big takeaway from it is, if you're seeing those signs in your child, that they are having lots of anxiety, that they're having difficulty sleeping, that if they're very excitable, that to be aware of that and to start having a conversation with both your behaviorist and your pediatrician. That was what my takeaway was. How about you, Nancy?
Yeah, that's my takeaway as well. Just to be aware, and you don't want to overlook something where your child could potentially get help in an area that they're not. So just something to do that.
But I also want to say that because we have this running theme through all of our articles today, and we're about to get to the best one, which is something to do that isn't medication, I think that finding the thing that your child is the most interested in as a child and feeding that, because we know that adults who their parents did that were happier and had less anxiety later on, and are doing better. So, like, why don't we encourage them to do the things that they want to do? Sometimes it's hard though, Nancy, because parents are like, well, I don't know what my child's special interest is. They haven't found it yet. How do I help them find it? Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.